Hi everyone. Welcome to today's conversation around the topic, You Are Not Alone. My name is Helen and I'm a volunteer at the Paul and Stephen Spiritist Center, and we're very happy to have you here today with us. Before we start, we're going to connect with our spiritual mentors and guides through a small prayer. So if you want to join me, I'm going to close my eyes to concentrate better. So as we relax in wherever it is that we are, in our seats, take a deep breath, calm our hearts and our minds, and connect with our spiritual mentor and guide that's always here by our side, helping us to grow and supporting us through the good and through the bad. And we also connect not only to our spiritual guide, but all the spirits that works towards transforming this planet into a better place for all of us to live in, where justice and love prevails. And we also connect with the spirits responsible for the Paul and Stephen Spiritist Center and ask them to inspire us and help us understand how we can apply what we're going to discuss today in our daily lives so we can live happier, fuller lives and contribute to this world as well. Stay with us. So be it. Thank you, everyone. When I saw this topic, You Are Not Alone, two main things came to my mind that I thought that would be equally important to discuss here today. So one is related to you're not alone to the person and within the self, like feeling alone or feeling that there's not enough support around. And the other is you are not alone in a sense that we live in society, so we are not alone. And we have to think of the consequences of our acts and what we do and how that affects people around us and the society in general. So we're going to try to cover these two topics. They're interrelated and they are very important because they are part of a natural law, a divine law, called the law of society. So if we start with the first aspect, which is related to the self. Many of us around the planet sometimes feel incredibly alone, and it might be that we are really physically alone, but also in the middle of a crowd, which might sometimes be the most difficult way to feel alone, is when you are surrounded by people but still feeling alone. And that might be because we haven't developed the relationships that we need to develop to have supports around us, but it also might be because people around us don't know how to cater for our needs, and we'll be looking at that as well. And we might not only feel that we don't have people around us, but we don't feel that we have the support of a higher intelligence sometimes. Although that's an impression, and I use that because the divine providence is ever present, is always supporting all of us all the time. But it might be that we feel that disconnection or that lack of support because it might be a very challenging situation that we're facing. And we also sometimes forget that we have spirits that are friends and mentors that love us and that are supporting us. I like to compare that to when we move to a different country, to live in a different country. And we leave many people, friends and family that we love behind. And from a distance, they are always cheering for us and supporting as much as they can via the social medias or via Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, it doesn't matter. They're always supporting us as much as they can, but they are not physically close to us. So we can make a parallel between what happens when we come to the physical world, when we are born. When we are born, we leave spirits that love us, that were our family and friends, maybe in past existence, maybe in different existences, maybe from the spiritual realm itself. And although sometimes we cannot perceive them and notice that they are around, they are always around. Similar to our family and friends that might be at a distance in a different country, they are in a different realm of existence, but they are always cheering from us. So what is it that we can do to feel less alone when things get really tough? There's a passage where Jesus says, and you can find that in John chapter 9, and the item number is 4, where he says, do the work that you have to do while it's day. It's not those exact words, okay? That's why I like to put where you can find it so you can really read it. Do the work while it's day, because when night comes, you can't do the work, or it's difficult to do the work. So when we were talking about improving something in our lives, may it be developing faith or developing relationships, the ideal, like Jesus suggested, is that that is done when we are not in crisis. It's much easier when we are not in crisis to develop what we need to develop. So when night or challenges or difficulties come, we have already developed that, and that can support us then. So in order to develop these support systems or support networks, and by support networks, I'm talking about not only here, but maintaining contact with our spiritual friends, we have to do that while we're okay. I attended a training on developing human relationships, with one of the topics being emotional intimacy, and that meaning developing profound, deep relationships with other people. And the trainer said something very interesting. If people don't cater for our needs, or if they don't understand our needs, the best way to solve that is telling them exactly what we need. Even if we have a very close friend or a family member that you say they have to know, they don't. Believe me, each person has its own universe that they're trying to deal with. And with the best intentions, they want to support us, but they don't know how, or the way that support works for them doesn't work for us. So the best way to do that is really tell the person, look, when I'm sad, I like to be left alone, for example. Or when I'm sad, I like to be cuddled, or I like to, but not trying to solve my problem. Or I like to be listened to, but not into, I don't want any opinion other than just the listening. So verbalize what is it in regards to your need, or when I'm feeling alone, or when I have a problem, I have difficulty in reaching out. So if you notice that I'm silent, ask me like this, and that, and maybe it will help me open up. So whatever it is that you need, and that you think that it might be important at some point for somebody to assist you, develop these relationships while everything's okay. If you feel that you don't have enough support around you, learn how to develop relationships that will support you during challenging times. There are so many books, and what I love about books is that we can draw on people's experiences and knowledge, because they might have a background in behavior or in psychology, and they put things beautifully in a book, and then you can learn how to improve or develop relationships by reading that book and working on yourself. So I suggest that that's a good way to start, or watching videos. There's so many videos nowadays. I always recommend to look at a trustworthy source when you're looking at videos, and develop these support networks with people that are physically in your life at this moment. Besides that, we should take advantage of the day, or when times are okay, everything is good, to develop our connection with the spirituality, and to develop our connection with our mentor and guide. In the Spirit's book, and I'm using the Spirit's book and the Gospel for this conversation here today, the Spirit's book, in question 489, Kardec asks the Spirit if there is a special spirit that's designated to take care of us and help us through our lifetime. And the Spirit says that yes, there is. There is a spirit that's designated to assist us, and they love us and they want us to develop. So we have this spiritual guide or mentor. In some belief systems, they call it guardian angel. It doesn't matter the name, but there is this being that is here to assist us to develop ourselves. But besides that, we also have, like I mentioned, other spiritual friends that are not incarnated at the moment, and that they want to assist us, and sometimes they can assist us as well. And we have the higher spirits that are always trying to assist and always helping those who need. And the divine providence, like I said, that's always ever present, always helping us. And we have to develop that connection, and that might be through meditation. There's different types of meditations where you can really connect and learn how to silence your thoughts and be open to inspiration and guidance from the spiritual friends. Also, there's other techniques that people might find useful, and it might be journaling, where you can put your ideas and you can kind of get insights on how to support yourself or how to connect with your mentors and guides, and the divinity that is in all of us. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God, is within. So we have that within us, and we have to learn how to connect with that and trust the divine providence when things are okay. I heard something so interesting. It was a tennis player, and I think it was Deepak Chopra who was talking about that. I'm not sure, so imagine that it isn't, but the story is a good story. So he was a very, very famous tennis player a few decades ago, and he was diagnosed with cancer at some point. And people asked him if he was upset or if he was angry, of why he had that. And he said beautifully that of all the tennis people who start playing tennis when they're young, just a few go on to continue that career. And from that group, only a few become professional players. And from the professional, only a few get to play the slams around the world. And only a few get to compete at the highest level. And only a few get to be finalists. And only a few get to be champions. And he said, when I was there, being a champion and being on the top of the world, I never asked why me? So why am I going to ask it now? And I found that was very beautiful, because it was him saying things go in different ways, and we have to learn to accept one way and the other. He was incredibly successful and well known, and he never questioned why me and why not the rest. So he wasn't questioning why him and why not the rest that had developed cancer. So it's really that trust that things are okay and they come into our lives for a certain reason. And I always say that it's easier to say than to do. but it is something that's worth developing, that trust in the divine providence. So that's one aspect, isn't it? That we might feel alone, and it might be that we feel alone even around other people and disconnected from spirituality at some point. And the way we address that is when we are okay, because during crisis it's more difficult to address that. But if we do develop that, we will have much more strength to navigate through the challenges, because we will not feel alone. And we will know that there is something that's always taking care of us at all times. Now, the other aspect that I thought that was equally important was in regards to us being part of a society. There is a divine law that's called the laws of society, and you can find that in the Spirit's book, that says that we were made to live in society. And where can you find that? You can find that in question 766 of the Spirit's book, where Kardec, and I'm going to read it just to be faithful to what was written by Allan Kardec. Is societal life natural to human beings? That's what he asked. Is societal life natural to human beings? And the Spirits say, without question, God has created humans to live in society. And he continues in question 767 and 768, saying that we have different talents and we have different developments, so we can actually, when we interact with each other, we can learn and we can grow together. And it's very clear in the answer that is given in 768, and I'll read it. It says, the aim of human life is evolution. It is only interacting with each other that you benefit from your many different strengths. In isolation, your mental and physical faculties may degrade. So what does he mean? If we look at question 132 of the Spirit's book, that talks about the purpose of incarnation, they say that the purpose of incarnation is evolution, progress. But it also says that it's a twofold. So you have your personal progress, but there's another aspect that's equally important too in the purpose of being incarnated, is that you exercise your choices and your talents to co-create the world that you live in. So it's to collaborate to the divine creation. That's another purpose of us incarnating and living the life, so we can collaborate and create around us, co-create around us. So if we look at that and we look at what they say about the law of society, it is crucial that we learn how to live amongst other people, because that is part of where we develop. Human relationships can be a challenge because people think differently, and there's a beauty in that, but there's also a challenge. So there's a beauty that you get to see this amazing point of view that you might have never thought of. And at the same time, if it's really diverse from the way that you think, you have to accommodate and really open your mind, so you can say, okay, there is also this other aspect or this other way of thinking or doing things that doesn't feel that comfortable to me. But it doesn't mean that that's a wrong way to do things. It's just different to what I'm used to doing. And that's the importance of living in society. And that's where the law of society explains that it helps us progress. And Kardec, in that aspect, he starts questioning about isolation, because here they answered to this question. They said that if you choose to isolate, or if for some reason you are isolated from the rest of society for a reason, it might be that your mental faculties or mental health or even physical health might deteriorate or degrade, as they say, because it's important human interactions. But he also says, what about people who choose to isolate or to choose to live a recluse life? And if you read the whole chapter that talks about the law of society, you'll see it really depends on the why they do that. So the why people choose to isolate, if they're isolating for selfish reasons, then that obviously is not okay. But we know that some people and some spiritual yogis, gurus, sometimes they isolate themselves so they can collaborate. And the spirits are very clear. They say that it really depends, because even if you're at a distance, really focusing on improving the spiritual environment through prayer, through meditation, through some sort of spiritual practice, if that's the goal and that's why you isolate yourself, you're actually working and co-creating. So that's not a problem. But when you say, I can't stand society anymore, so I'm gonna isolate myself, then that's where there's a red sign that you should rethink, and that you should know that we are not alone, and we need to learn not to be alone. We need to learn how to relate to people. If it's not only for ourselves, for others, because it might be that we can support other people and contribute even further to what we want from the world around us, isn't it? So if we look back at the purpose of incarnation, that the first one is to evolve. And if we link it to the law of progress and the law of society, we know that we will progress interacting with other people quicker. Because if we're isolated, we actually don't get a chance to learn how to deal with problems, even the small ones. We will have a different set of problems. And if we're not doing isolating to collaborate, that's not the ideal. Ideally, you're in society and learning how to develop and grow. So that's the first, the purpose of us being here in this planet, incarnating and collaborating. And the second one, like I said, is really co-creating the world we want to live in. And sometimes we forget that even the smallest things that we do, for example, not throwing garbage on the floor, we are on wherever it is that we are, on the streets, we are co-creating a cleaner world. And when you are kind enough to silence yourself when somebody is being irrational, and you're doing that purposefully and not because of anything else, because you understand that that person is not their own self, then you're also co-creating a kinder world. When you assist taking care of other people or being concerned with those around you, you are also learning how to co-create a world that you want to live in. And that truly reminds me of Gandhi when he says, be the change you want to be in the world. So as part of our purpose, which is to co-create a better world, so we all want to live in a world that's safe, that has peace and has justice. And we should start that within ourselves. So recapping what we talked about here today in terms of you are not alone. You are not alone if you need assistance. But I'm going to put we instead of you, okay? Because I'm included in that as well. But it is related to the title. So we are not alone if we need assistance and if we're feeling lonely. But we do need to develop the ability to ask for help, the ability to develop those networks that will support us, and the ability to trust that there is a higher intelligence that's always here supporting us, and that we do have spiritual mentors and guides that are always next to us, waiting for us, like they're a thought away. If we ask for help, help will come. And it might not be the solution of what we want, but it will be an insight, it will be an idea, it will be a person, it will be a video, it will be a book that we will read, and that will present the solution. So if you're going through a tough time and you feel like you're alone, think that you can reach out and you can connect with your spiritual guide and ask for help. And the help will come, like I said, either in a form of a person saying something. You meet someone and someone randomly says something that is really important. And it might even be this video, isn't it? That will make you think, okay, I'm going to go get through this crisis, and maybe I need to develop my support systems, my connection with myself, my connection with my spirituality and my guides, and my connection with my relations, with my friends and family. So that's the first aspect of what we discussed here today that's really important. And the Spirit's book is so clear in many places, even teaching us that what to believe and how that will help us. That book, the Spirit's book, made a huge impact in my life when I read it for the first time, because it really showed me that there's always, even if we don't perceive it, there's always a spirit or a guide or the divine providence that are supporting us. And the second part of our conversation was related to us within society. It is a divine law that we connect with each other, we relate with each other, and we're all interconnected. You can find that in question 132 of the Spirit's book, when they talk about the purpose of incarnation, that all beings are interconnected, and the divine providence uses that interconnection so we can support one another. So we live in society, and that's good for us because that will help us progress quicker. But similarly to the relation of yourself with the people around you, we have to develop the ability to relate with society in a positive way. And these are challenging times, I know. And sometimes it's quite hard, but we have to develop that while we are not going through a crisis. And if we are in a crisis right now, we have to learn how to reach out for help. Because we live in a society, and the society is what we make of it. So and that brings us to back to what Gandhi said: be the change you wish to see in the world. We have to start changing within ourselves so we can collaborate with the society as a whole. Because if everyone took care or improved their own way of living, their mentality, how they behave towards themselves and towards others, that would have a huge ripple effect in society. Because society is the results of the sum of all individuals that makes up society. And that's why societies are different. And that's why you have places that are calmer and less calm. So we have to work within us, if we're having trouble living in society, to develop the strategies that we can support ourselves and we can contribute positively to society around us. Well, this is what I had to bring, that you are not alone when you feel you're alone, and that you are not alone because you belong to a society, and that's the way that we best progress. and that we can reach out for help in case we need, and that divine providence is always assisting us. Like Jesus said, do not worry about tomorrow. Let tomorrow take care of itself, because the divine providence is always helping us and assisting us to go through these challenging times. I hope there was something of value that I said here today, and I truly recommend that you study the Spirit's book. I also love the Gospel According to Spiritism, that gives an insight on what Jesus' teachings meant in light of the Spiritist philosophy, and other Spiritist books, which are really equally important as well. So we're going to finish by connecting with the higher powers and donating a bit of love and peace and harmony, so we can contribute to the world energetically as well. So if you want to join me, let's close our eyes and let's imagine that despite being distant, and it might be that we're watching this in different times, we can still connect in a sense to each other at a heart level and intention-wise. And as we connect, we imagine that from our hearts, a beautiful light joins, forming a huge ball of light that we ask the spiritual mentors and guides to take where it's mostly necessary, to all the places in the world where there's suffering and despair and sadness. May it be in the incarnate world or discarnate world. May this light comfort people's heart and calm them and bring them hope. But we also ask that this beautiful energy of love and harmony and peace is taken to all those who are working towards good, towards progress, towards the benefit of humanity. May they be filled with hope and strength and grit to collaborate in transforming this planet into a better place. We ask for all the people going through illness or natural disasters. We ask for all those who are struggling with mental health. May they feel this love and this peace, and may that ignite hope in them that everything will be okay. We also ask for all the ones that we love, and we finally ask that we receive a little bit of this energy, that we can carry this energy wherever we go and take it to the people around us. So be it. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being with us here today, and I hope to see you all next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.